Episode 13. We've only got one more after this one. Rebuilding your life in alignment. Once you see what isn't aligned, you can't unsee it. And once that happens, the question is no longer what needs to end. The question becomes, what am I going to build instead? Welcome back to Pathkeeper, a podcast and written series for those returning to truth, embodiment, and their original design. If this episode found you at the right moment, take a slow breath. This space is meant to be felt, not rushed. Over the last 12 episodes, we've talked about remembering, we've talked about fear, the body, boundaries, grief, original design. We've talked about letting go, but eventually, every ending asks the same question: what comes next? Today's episode is called Rebuilding Your Life in Alignment. A while ago, I was setting up my weekly bread situation. I won't get into that. There is something about kneading dough that slows me down. It keeps my hands busy, so my heart has room to ask better questions. As I stood there, I found myself praying, not a polished prayer, but an honest one. God, what is my purpose? What is my true purpose? And almost immediately, a doe ran out from a neighbor's yard. She crossed the street, jumped one fence, paused. I swear to God, she looked at me, and then continued along her way. I stood there, covered in flour, sticky dough fingers, watching her disappear. I actually got a picture of it. She didn't answer my question, at least not in the way I expected it. She didn't hand me a blueprint. She didn't explain the next 10 years or give me an action plan. She simply kept moving, hopping one fence over another. And somehow that was enough because I realized something. Purpose isn't usually found all at once. It's lived one faithful step at a time. And that's what rebuilding looks like. We often imagine rebuilding as one massive decision, one dramatic reinvention, a brand new life that appears overnight. But that's rarely how it happens. Most rebuilding begins quietly. One conversation becomes more honest. One room in your home becomes more peaceful. One boundary is finally respected. One morning walk becomes part of your rhythm. One choice becomes different than it was yesterday. And little by little, your outer life begins to resemble your inner truth. As I looked at my own life, I realized I wasn't rebuilding one thing. I was rebuilding where I lived from, who I lived with, how I lived, and what I lived by. That's where alignment grows. It grows in your environment. Does the space around you support your nervous system or constantly ask it to survive? It grows in your relationships. Can you fully be yourself, or do you spend your energy managing other people's comfort? It grows in your rhythm, not just what fills your calendar, but how your days actually feel. Do they reflect your values or only your obligations? And finally, it grows in truth, not the truth you admire, the truth you practice. Because awareness without action slowly becomes another form of hiding. And here's something I've learned: demolition is loud. Building is usually quiet. It doesn't always look impressive. It looks like consistency, one honest decision, then another. Every aligned choice becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. You don't have to rebuild everything this week. In fact, please don't. Choose one place, one habit, one conversation, maybe a boundary, one room, one rhythm. Build there. Then let your nervous system discover that this new foundation is safe. Alignment isn't about finding a better life. It's about becoming someone who no longer builds against themselves. Now, for today's practice, choose one of these 4 areas: your environment, your relationships, your daily rhythm, or your truth. Then ask yourself, what is one small change I can make this week that brings this part of my life into greater alignment? Keep it simple, keep it honest, and then live it. Not perfectly, but faithfully. As we close, remember this. Maybe alignment isn't about finally getting life perfect. Maybe it's about waking up one morning and realizing your outer life no longer argues with your inner truth. That day won't arrive all at once. It arrives one choice, one boundary, one ordinary Tuesday at a time. And one day, you'll look around and realize you're living a life you no longer need to escape from. Thank you for walking this path with me. Walk in truth, hold the line, become the path.